The Gerry Anderson Podcast with Jamie Anderson, Richard James, and Chris Dale.
Hey, sorry.
You right?
Do you know? I was just thinking. I've got an incredibly important thing.
Oh, right.
Because, this week.
Yes.
It's your birthday, isn't it? Coming up.
Yes.
And also, it's Mummy A's birthday.
Yes.
And in previous years,
Yes.
we've done a little joint.
Yes.
So
Great. What have you got planned then?
That's why I was staring blankly, because I realised I haven't planned anything yet.
Wow. Be a bit awkward when we record the next podcast.
Yeah.
Because, frankly, when we record the next podcast, my birthday won't have happened. So we won't know whether to refer to the fact that we did something for my birthday or whether I refer to the fact that we didn't do anything for my birthday.
Okay. Right. Fine. Let's ignore that. But
Okay.
this week is Mummy A's birthday.
And my birthday.
And yours. Happy birthday, Mummy A, and happy birthday, Richard Le James.
Thank you. Stop calling me that. Oh, no, you can for this week only again. Yes,
Yeah,
while
awesome.
Ronnie's with us. The amazing Ronnie Le Drew. But I am Richard Le James, and you are...
Jamie Anderson. No Luz here.
Ah, shame. And joining us a little later on the Randomiser sofa...
Is Chris Ledale.
There he is.
Hi guys.
Hi, Chris. Ah, doesn't he look well?
It does.
Yeah, has he been out or something?
Yeah.
Into the fresh air, got some sunshine.
Very perky.
Very perky. Calm down.
And all of us here are
Yes.
contributing to what is known
Colloquially.
informally
Yeah.
as
The Gerry Anderson Podcast. That's really naff we said it together.
Is it? I thought it was cool.
No, okay. Ronnie Le Drew, who we've mentioned a couple of times already, Puppeteer extraordinaire, will be joining us for the second part of his interview a little bit later on,
Yep.
as will Chris Dale for the Randomiser. We've got FAB Facts coming up shortly, and we've heard from Les Podsterons, who have been emailing us at podcast@gerryanderson.com and commenting on our Facebook group.
Yes. Facebook.com/groups/podsterons.
That's it.
And also,
Oh, yeah.
we've got own Fab Fact.
Yeah, well, I mentioned that.
Did I?
Yeah, I mentioned it.
Sorry,
That's all right.
I was miles
Miles
away.
away.
I'm still thinking about birthday things.
Oh, how exciting.
Yeah.
Go on, then.
I'm thinking about the fact that I haven't planned a birthday thing.
Just get your FAB Facts out.
Okay, here comes a Fab Fact.
Now, time for this week's Fab Facts.
It's Fabula Facts.
Right.
No,
That doesn't work, though, does it? It's lay FAB Fact, surely.
Earn Fab Fact, it's whatever. Anyway, I've got a
Hold it up a bit more.
livre.
A livre?
Or is it a cahier? I don't know. I'm going to flick through it. There's Fab Facts in it. You'll shout Fab.
Yeah.
and blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. Yeah.
Yada.
The usual.
Have you
Yeah?
taken the old one out?
Shh.
I'm sorry.
Are you ready, Richard James?
Born ready.
Good. Here comes the flicking of the Fab Facts.
Fab! Yeah?
Well, I don't know. There's
Okay.
certainly some words on the page.
Right,
here.
that's a good start.
Do you know what? For the second week in a row,
Yeah.
it's another very long one.
Right, I'll settle in. Go on.
So get comfy.
Make myself comfortable, yeah.
Richard James.
That's me.
These days, we rather take for granted the fact that...
Sorry, does it actually say that in the book?
Yeah.
How does it know that you're going to be...
It doesn't know. The author of the book knows. The
When
book
was it
isn't
written?
sentient.
When was it written? I mean...
At the beginning of the podcast, when you started hosting it. Richard James.
Yes.
These days, we rather take for granted the fact that pretty much every episode of every Anderson show is available for us to watch whenever we want, don't we?
Yes, Jamie.
Okay, well, with the sad demise of network, it's true that most of the shows are currently out of print in home media in the UK, but it's still not hard to find DVDs and Blu-rays from various outlets, including, of course, at the official Gerry Anderson store, shop.gerryanderson.com.
There you go.
Little plug there.
Yeah.
But in the early days...
Can you get little plugs at the Gerry Anderson store?
Yes, branded with the A logo.
Oh, that'd be great. I'd buy them.
Anyway,
Oh, yes.
in the early days of home video, even before the Anderson shows were slowly starting to creep out onto VHS, many fans would be reliant on recording the episodes from TV broadcasts.
Yeah.
Assuming, of course, that any channel would actually ever show them again.
Right? What?
There was no guarantee, was there?
I see.
In 1981, fans were excited to learn of a scheme devised by LWT and ITC that would finally bring lots of the classic ITC shows back to television after many years off air.
Oh, yeah.
This scheme involved teaming up one or more of the shows and offering them for sale to the UK's regional stations as a bundle package.
Oh.
One region would purchase a bundle package of, for instance, the Champions and Return of the Saint and offer it to all the other regions for free to show at off-peak times.
For free?
For free.
Right.
This package approach ran for a number of years, so it must have been quite successful.
Yeah.
The Anderson packages included
Yeah.
Thunderbirds, Stingray and Joe 90,
Well, the classics.
Space 1999 Year 1 and Year 2,
Oh.
The Protector Season 1 and The Protector Season 2, and The Adventurer, which of course is non-Anderson ITC.
Yeah.
We've talked about that on previous FAB Facts.
We
I'm sure
have
you'll
ad
recall.
nauseum, yes.
And 5LXL5 with Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons, which is the topic of today's FAB Fact. Yes, all of that was a preamble to the actual FAB Fact.
Wow. Okay.
But I'm sure it was entirely necessary for context. Now, although several regions bought the XL5 and Scarlet package, it was then up to them how they showed the episodes, with most regions showing each series in 2 blocks across 1985, a fine year, and 1986, also okay, rather than all at once, and in whatever order they felt like. Many Anderson fans who had VCRs, for our younger viewers, those are machines capable of playing
Video
VHS
cassette
tapes.
recorder,
Yeah, and recording, obviously. Many Anderson fans who had VCRs were just grateful that the shows were finally being aired again, or being aired at all, that they could finally own them, providing they could afford enough blank tapes to record them. Do you remember when it was really exciting to get some blank tapes at Christmas or whatever?
Oh, yes, but they had to be the right length.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, you'd have to cut
90s
off a...
or-
Oh, C90, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. Oh, is that... No, that was audio cassette, the C90. wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Anyway, this is for another FAB Fact in the future.
Yeah.
However,
Right,
it's
yes.
still going.
Right.
Captain Scarlet fans in the London region would not have it so easy, as LWT shelved their Captain Scarlet repeats in April 1986 after showing only 8 episodes.
Oh, harsh.
How dare they?
Yeah.
The remaining episodes did not appear until August 1987. A year and a half later, when, in a curious foreshadowing of how new Captain Scarlet would later premiere within the Saturday morning series Ministry of Mayhem rather than as a separate show, they were aired as part of Night Network.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with
No.
Night Network. Night Network was an LWT series that generally ran from 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. on weekend nights from 1987 to 1989 and was a magazine show aimed at young adults and insomniacs.
Yes.
Featuring celebrity guests, bands, movie reviews, and even a quiz featuring your friend and mine, Nicholas Parsons.
Oh.
Go on.
Well, I'm pretty sure that would have been a pre-record. He wasn't up at 1 o'clock in the morning doing a
sure it
quiz.
was pre-recorded. But of course, it also featured all those remaining episodes of Captain Scarlet.
Yes.
However, another
however.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Each
Keep track of
episode
this.
of Scarlet was cut up into 3 segments and aired at different times throughout the show, meaning that viewers whose only interest in Night Network was seeing Captain Scarlet would either have to stay up until 1 a.m. and record the entire night, which would take up an entire VHS tape, or sit through the whole show just to record these snippets of Scarlet whenever they happened to come on. So if you thought Ministry of Mayhem's treatment of new Captain Scarlet was bad, well, it was. But it was nothing compared to the frustration of catching the original Scarlet on Night Network in 1987. So feel sorry for those viewers.
Right.
Despite this, Captain Scarlet seemed to be one of the more popular parts of Night Network, with Scarlet himself making appearances in the studio in the form of mime artist Gavin Robertson, former guest on the podcast.
Yes.
And the hosts actually gave the show a fond farewell when Scarlet left the series on February the 12th, 1988. It's worth noting that night's episode is currently available to view on YouTube, albeit with the Scarlet episode clips cut out for copyright reasons. So, Podsterons,
Right.
if you've made it thus far,
Yes.
were any of you one of those Captain Scarlet fans from the years 1986 to 1987 who stayed up all night to see the Spectrum Gang on Night Network? Do you look back on those days fondly, catching Night Network after staggering in from the pub, or was it just a nuisance having to stay up so late? Do get in touch. We'd love to hear from you with your VHS woes.
What was that about?
It was about Night Network.
Right, showing Captain Scarlet really late.
Really
I mean,
late
I've just
night.
summarised it in a couple of sentences there.
Yes.
I don't know why the book had to go
You
on a
didn't
great
use
length.
enough howevers.
No, I see. Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, interesting. Well, I mean, Space Precinct, of course, suffered in the States, particularly with late night showings, which is why it didn't perhaps perform as well.
Cut into 3?
I don't think it was cut into 3, no, but went out
Just
at
ad breaks.
silly times. Yeah, ad breaks, yeah. Yes, I remember Lou Hirsch saying that his mum had called and said, "I saw your show." That's Lou. That's not his mum, is it?
I bet she sounds quite similar though.
I saw your show last night at 3:00 in the morning.
Well,
Yes.
she's podly as well, I noticed. Yes. Anyway,
there you go.
is that, Podsterons, the worst iteration of an Anderson, not of a Fab Fact,
I was gonna say.
of an Anderson show being spoiled,
Abused?
ruined? I
Yeah.
was going to say something rude there.
Right.
Yeah, spoiled by bizarre showings. Do let us know. podcast@gerryanderson.com.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah?
Right.
Which brings us, I'm really not sure where this is
No.
going to the end of this week's.
Yes. However, fact. However.
However.
Now, did two howevers kind of correct themselves
Into what?
into a
Thus?
certainty? I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't really matter, does it? You
Well,
are.
Richard, I don't know. Do you want a little secret?
Yes.
None of this does.
Oh, you're right. I was about to say you are watching and listening to the Gerry Anderson podcast, but are you still after that Fab Fact? I mean, are you?
I'm not.
Coming up, we've got Ronnie Le Drew. We've got some more emails from our Podsterons, which we'll read out in a moment. And, of course, the amazing Randomiser will be with us a little later.
With Chris Liddell.
But in the meantime, someone's left the door open.
Have they? Silly.
This is the voice of the Podsterons.
Yes, it's the voice of the Podsterons. We have a bulging bag of emails this week, so I'm going to crack straight into it with Steve Bushell again. Gets in touch with us just about every week, does Steve. Hi, guys.
lot of Steve.
Just listening to the podcast during the post-lunch and King's speech lull. So we're going back quite a few weeks now.
Yeah.
Obviously, he sent this on Christmas Day, which is nice. And he was listening to the podcast on Christmas Day.
Well, we did have one out on Christmas Day, so that makes sense.
Yeah. Now, we know that Chris is a fan of Gerry's shows and Jamie is a Whovian, but what floats Richard's boat?
I know.
Is he perhaps a theatre buff or steampunk enthusiast, or is he a closet Barbie collector? By that I mean he keeps Charlotte's Barbies in his wardrobe.
Nice.
Actually, I just keep Charlotte in the wardrobe.
Yes, currently too.
Another fantastic year of pod, says Steve, and another year to come. Wishing you all a very Merry Christmas and a joyous 2024, and looking forward to it from Steve. Well, Merry
thanks,
Christmas to you too, Steve.
Yes.
On the 22nd of January.
Yes.
It's only 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, isn't it?
It's
That's
less than a
fine.
month, it's fine.
Less than a month, yeah, exactly. What floats my boat?
Star
Anything
Trek.
really. Star Trek, yeah. But also a bit of theatre, a bit of Shakespeare,
And Doctor Who.
obviously.
Obvs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Peter Davison. That's Richard's Doctor.
All right.
What?
Let's move on.
I didn't say it in a horrible
I know
way.
it's a Gerry Anderson podcast, isn't it?
Okay, fine. Moving on.
Yes.
Simpsons Clips 24. has
Now,
been in touch.
so straight back in with the Gerry Anderson theme, I would think.
Well, let's hope. Hello, Richard, Jamie, and Chris.
Hello.
Simpsons Clips 24 here, and I hope you're having a good 2024 so far. I'm
Not bad.
having a reasonable one, thank you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Oh.
or fortunately for some people, I have not been able to think of a Lavender Castle related question for this email.
What?
Kind regards.
Wow.
So I shall have to ask you something else instead.
Okay.
In December, the news came in that Universal Studios had acquired land in Bedford and was at the early stages of exploring its feasibility for a park and resort.
Oh.
Now, this set my mind in motion for what might be featured at the park. The Wizarding World of Harry Potter seemed an obvious choice, but the Warner Brothers studio tour is only a few minutes away from the site. But then I discovered that Paddington and James Bond could get attractions, as Universal distributed the last Bond film, No Time to Die, and probably Lord of the Rings too. Which led me to wonder.
Right.
With all these British IPs potentially getting themed attractions at Universal Studios Great Britain, could we see any Anderson-themed attractions? If so, what would you like to see?
Oh.
SIG, Simpsons Clips 24. Well, I know what you want.
Go on.
Space Precinct on Ice.
Yes. Yeah. God, I haven't mentioned that for a while.
No, you haven't.
I was going to say Space Precinct, of course, but I'd like a cruiser ride. Would be fun, wouldn't it?
Would you?
Yeah.
probably.
Like a what do we call it when it doesn't actually fly, but it just a simulator.
Simulator.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Flying through the streets
I
of
used to
Devon.
love going on simulators when I was a kid with Dad. Actually, he was quite keen.
Yeah,
on it. I
really?
thought they were quite cool bits of tech.
Yeah.
Yes, possibly. I mean, clearly, some sort of Thunderbirds or Scarlet escape room.
Or
I
rescue.
think.
Yes, that's right. Some sort of rescue, some sort of volcano thing, probably.
Volcano.
Yeah.
That's very specific.
Yeah. No, it just popped into my head.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Any of those things. Fly, crash an eagle.
Stingray underwater, all that.
Yeah. Oh, like the old 20,000 Leagues ride at Disneyland, Florida.
Right.
Is it?
Right.
Yeah, I love that.
Would you go in the Nautilus and it goes?
Yeah, but it doesn't
No.
really, but it does.
Yes,
I
like
was
it.
completely convinced as a kid.
Yeah, like it.
Anyway, yes,
Pen
all
Quiller.
those.
Yes.
Hello,
Says,
Pen.
hello, Jamie. Richard, you were asking in the Christmas podcast about blue plaques. Remember?
Yes, we did.
Well, anyway, here's the criteria from
Oh.
Wikipedia. Thanks for keeping us entertained throughout the year. Looking forward to whatever you have planned for us in 2024, FAB Pen Quiller. Do you want to know the criteria for having a blue plaque?
Yes, please.
Dedicated to you. Well, to be eligible for an English Heritage Blue Plaque in London, the famous person concerned must have been dead for 20 years or have passed the centenary of their birth. Fictional characters are not eligible.
Okay, well, we should be all right then.
Yeah, they must be considered eminent by a majority of members of their own profession and have made an outstanding contribution to human welfare or happiness.
Okay, I think we can tick the box on that
ticking
one.
all the boxes.
Well, not on centenary yet, or 20 years. Only
Sure.
10 years, but...
Yes. Must have lived or worked in that building in London for a significant period in time of importance within their life or work, and to be recognisable to the well-informed passerby or deserve national recognition.
A well-informed passerby.
Yeah,
that's very specific,
nice,
isn't it? Okay.
Anyway, other schemes have different criteria which are often less restrictive. In particular, it's common under other schemes for plaques to be erected to mark the sites of demolished buildings, which might be nearer the mark, mightn't it, considering the Slough
Yeah,
trading
Slough
estate?
just down the road from
That's
where we
right.
are now. Okay, well, so we can certainly say, though, no blue plaque for Dad until
Yeah.
at least 2029.
Okay.
Or 2032.
Right, whichever comes first. Well, 2029 comes first.
Yeah, but those would be our two
Yeah.
opportunities.
Yeah. Could
Thanks,
happen.
Ben. I have one.
Right.
From Tabitha Hoop.
Oh, yeah.
Surface agent.
Yes.
Tabitha says, Dear Jamie, Richard and Chris, I hope this email finds you well and you had a well-deserved Christmas break. Well, was yours well-deserved?
Not really.
You didn't
no.
have a break either.
No.
No, I didn't really.
No, didn't really stop, did we?
Coming home for the holiday, I find myself grateful for the gift you've given me by introducing me to the work of Gerry Anderson over a year ago now.
Ah.
That's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure my life would have continued without my beloved Stingray. But you have given me something to share with my dad, which I really do appreciate. Neither of us are particularly social creatures, so having something to bond over has made my year.
Lovely.
Aw.
That's lovely, isn't it?
Isn't that a lovely thing?
Perfect.
Intergenerational
Yeah.
bonding and
Yeah, we like a bit of
finding
that.
sort of, things that we can all enjoy together.
Exactly.
That's part of the point of the Gerry Anderson podcast.
Indeed, yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Tabitha.
That's nice, isn't it? Yeah. All for now. Do keep coming in because we'd love to hear your emails at podcast@gerryanderson.com. It's quite easy, really, isn't it, to send an email these days?
Please don't do the whole PowerPoint slide thing. Yes, you can just email us, podcast@gerryanderson.com. Done.
All right.
Moving on.
Okay, I sense that you want to get to the second part of my interview with Ronnie Le Drew.
Yes, please, Richard Le James.
Right, get out of the chair then.
Okay. Goodbye.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Ronnie was born in Toronto, Canada. His numerous television credits began in 1964 with a touch of Don Juan, narrated by Douglas Fairbanks Jr. However, he's probably best known as Zippy from ITV's Rainbow and later Rainbow Days. But fear not, fans. He's also managed to get his hands on or into some puppets from the Gerry Anderson Universe too. Let's meet the puppet master himself, Ronnie Le Drew. Welcome back, Ronnie. Thank you for joining us again. Thanks for last week. Sort of a whistle-stop tour, really, of your career.
Yes.
Focusing a little on the early days. So we'll come back to that shortly and see where you progressed via the Angel Theatre in Islington.
Oh, right, lovely. Yeah.
And we'll talk to you about your other experiences and credits too. And
Thank you.
perhaps be introduced to a few more guests from the
Absolutely.
table.
Yeah.
But last week we played Super Identification.
Yes.
In which we asked you to name as many Gerry Anderson series as you could from those very quick clips. And you were very quick on the earlier stuff, I seem to remember.
Yes, that's my childhood,
Exactly.
you see, the earlier stuff.
So perhaps it's time to have a look at your favourite Gerry
right.
Anderson character.
Ah,
Let's have a look at
okay.
this.
Ah,
Hey, hey, Rocky. Have a bite of this before I take it to my horse.
oh, I say, lovely Kenneth Connor.
Yeah.
Decent of him.
How awfully decent.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, that's sweet, you see. I love that character. I don't know why.
You ready, fellas? Sure. Yep.
Ah, great.
Rocky, what's wrong? Oh, that bun. Bob's cute. Give me some eggs. They must have been doped. I'll show that scoundrel.
Oh, it's
old
great.
Rocky.
Yes. To get over the horse's leg
Yes.
movement, you know, all that ground row in front.
That's right.
But it makes
Yes.
it's great. It's
Clever,
really
isn't it?
good. And it's the finish. Of course he's won.
Yes.
That was nice, that little
There
jump
we
up.
go. There, so you chose Rocky the Horse from
Yes,
Four Feather
I
Falls.
did. I know, isn't it funny? I know people think, my goodness, you've got such a choice, and I did.
Yeah.
But I thought, now let's go back to my childhood. Let's
Yeah.
remember what I thought was fun.
Yeah.
And I loved him, and I loved the voice of
Kenneth Connor, as you
Kenneth Connor,
mentioned.
exactly.
That's right.
And I was a great fan as a kid of all the Carry On films.
Oh,
as well.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
there was a link there too. But I thought they were great, and I mean. What's his Parsons?
Yes, Nicholas Parsons as Tex
who
Tucker.
did
Yeah.
wonderful. I mean,
Yeah.
and his wife then did all the granny, didn't she?
That's
And
it.
All that. Denise.
And later Zelda in
yes,
Turtles.
indeed, she did.
Yeah,
yes.
that's right. And it's interesting you mentioned there the sort of the cheat in a way. So they didn't have to see the horse's hooves and legs,
Yeah.
so we had the foreground moving very
Yeah,
quickly.
yeah.
But actually, the scale, imagine trying to mount a horse race with puppets is extraordinary. This is early days
Yeah,
for Gerry. It's
absolutely.
still 1950s. And,
Yeah.
so actually, it shows that you can do pretty much anything, can't you?
You can.
That's
you
the
can.
joy of
I
it.
mean, it does take time,
Yeah.
but it's doable.
Yeah, that's right. And what is it particularly with puppets and animals? There's something about puppet animals specifically that really catches the imagination.
Oh, I don't know. I think we all liked. I put it down to sort of cuddly toys we had as a kid.
Yeah.
And we all had a teddy bear, or we had an animal that we loved and we spoke to as a kid. It was a private little conversation.
Yes, that's right.
And I think the puppets, in a way, are live, if you like, versions of those sort of characters that one talked to as a kid. I mean, that's one of the sort of, I suppose, the thoughts I had about it.
Yeah.
I just know that let me put on one
come on.
character.
Here
Come
we
on,
go.
it's easier. Now, this is, you'll know who he is, but he's quite an old version of him now. This is Sweep
Hello,
from Sooty and
Sweep.
Sweep.
Oh.
You're going to speak. Pardon? Oh, you don't whisper normally. Oh, have I got to put the reed in my mouth? Oh, I've got to put the reed in my mouth. Right. Well, that makes the squeaky noise, everybody.
Ah.
Don't do that. That's naughty. Anyway, Sweep, you're very kind. Thank you for doing your little voice for us. And why are you scratching your ear like that for? You've got fleas. No, you haven't. Anyway, this was, you see, again, it's like my reaction to him.
Yeah.
Everybody's reaction. He's cuddly. He's lovely.
And you've got the added bonus that we all know Sweep. I
Yes,
know Sweep. It's like I'm
exactly.
being, I have an old friend sitting across the table with me.
Yeah, no, he's lovely, and
Yeah.
I was so lucky. I'd been doing Rainbow for a while, and Matthew Corbett was one of the singers originally. He wasn't there as a puppeteer or anything like that. He was a singer. He wanted to be an actor when he'd been to Central School and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And sadly, Harry had a rather serious heart attack, and it meant that Matthew sort of stepped in. This was at the Christmas Mayfair Theatre, pantomime, whatever they did at Christmas. And so Matthew took over that. And then, of course, the series Sooty Show, which is, of course, has been on and still on,
Yes.
was being recorded in the summer. And they thought, I don't think we can sort of have Harry presenting it totally because we're a bit worried about his condition. He was getting better by then, but he was still, a bit frailer.
Yeah.
And so they said, look, we'll make Matthew presenter. And if that's all right, and then Matthew thought that's quite a good idea, but if I do it, I want to take over the whole Sooty thing, which is fair enough. I can understand that.
Make it his own.
So they did, that's right.
Yeah.
So he did make it his own show. And then during the Rainbow, I can't remember what series it was. I think it was 70s, late 70s, something like that.
Yeah.
And he said, Ronnie, how about you working Sweep? Well, I've grown up with Sweep and Sooty and Harry and all that on television, so I wouldn't say no to that. And that was during the summer break, because Rainbow always had a summer break. And being a Thames programme by then, Sooty, we went off 2 weeks location filming, which was such fun.
Yes, I can imagine.
Swimming in a pool. I was like there, and the cameraman was on a bit, the camera was on a polygon polystyrene thing so it could float, and they were swimming. It was lovely. Rock climbing, all sorts of.
And do you feel
things.
part of that sort of that lineage? You mentioned the Corbetts there.
Yeah,
and,
I do. It was a pleasure to meet Harry and his wife Marjorie, whose nickname is Tobes, like Toby Jug. Which was quite a large lady. Sorry about that. Anyway, gorgeous, lovely, lovely couple. They lived down in Dorset and Child Oakford, and they had a studio built. Harry was an amazing. He was so tidy and kept everything in order, and he had all his old films and old stuff and scripts and stuff. He was great, and he had his grand piano because he wanted to originally be not so much a puppeteer, but a pianist.
Right.
He'd like to be a concert pianist.
Right.
But sadly, he had rather bad ears. He went deaf very early, and he had operations, but it never was terribly right. And so he ended up doing
luckily
magic.
for us, in a way.
Yeah, absolutely lucky for us.
Extraordinary.
It was really lovely. I better show you Sooty, hadn't I?
Oh, come on then.
Because
Can't have one without the other.
Exactly. Now, these are as I say, figures that Harry gave me after one of the series I did. So there's Sooty, and he has got. You've got your magic wand.
Of course.
Shall I get it? There it is. Izzy Wizzy, let's get busy. Oh, thank you very much. Lovely. Glad you didn't bring a water pistol. No, it's not down there. No. Anyway, there he is. So there's Sooty. And so it's all right.
Wonderful.
Get your magic
Now, it's
wand.
quite a responsibility, isn't it, handling these well-known characters? You've got to be careful, I guess, with
absolutely
what they do.
And, again, Harry gave me lessons on how to do the reed, because I thought it was like the ones you buy in the shop. You press a little thing here or something, or you have no, you have to have a reed. This is one I've actually constructed myself. The original reed that I had sort of all went a bit, as they do. They don't last forever.
Right.
And so this is like a wooden sort of trumpety thing.
Yeah.
Mr. Corbett, and it sort of is a good imitation of the original reeds. I put elastic. It's very funny. I've just remembering doing sweep on the set and the television. We did things like painting and decorating, and all the puppeteers were covered in mess underneath, as you do,
of course.
And I had a reed in my mouth, and I was all mic'd up, and the paint went into the reed, and it stopped, and then it fell out. It came out of my mouth, and I can't do anything. And they used to say, when in doubt, if anything goes wrong, because we had a live audience, we had kids there.
Right.
When in doubt, they'll always go to sweep.
Right.
And you just have to improvise something.
I see.
So that was...
Safe pair of hands.
Yes,
Sweep.
absolutely.
Yeah, always.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was that.
So let's go back then. You mentioned the Angel Puppet Theatre in Islington last time. So what sort of work did you do there, and how long were you with them?
Wow. Basically, I was there from 6... I'm just shutting my eyes to try and remember. I think I started there in 64, and I left eventually about 1969, 70.
Okay.
But I stayed there, and we did wonderful European tours with the marionettes. We did shows, obviously, at the theatre.
Yeah.
And I'd probably worked on nearly every show during that period that they had made and
Building
constructed.
as well? Or
Not
so
really
much?
building. I'm not a puppet maker.
Yeah.
They were so brilliant in the workshop.
I see.
I used to sort of come and go, oh dear. And then John Wright was quite funny because I was a bit clumsy, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And he'd say, oh, turn off the lathe, turn off the thing. Oh, we don't want Ronnie near there. Anyways, I said, you're all right up on the bridge or down in the pit doing the glove puppets or something, but don't. Anyway, I did do sanding. I was a very good sander of carved, things. So I used to do that quite a lot. But no, we did all sorts of puppets as well. Because being a theatre, he had a pit for glove puppets and rod puppets. We used marionettes and rod puppets and shadow puppets and every kind of puppet you can think of. And we performed, as I say, all over Europe.
Quite the apprenticeship, really.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It was wonderful. And, of course, puppeteers came to the theatre to see shows once they heard that there was a building for puppets. And the audience now is, was generations have gone now. It's been around for a long time.
But obviously at that point then, perhaps you were starting to realise that you could make a career in this profession.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I thought, I've found my niche.
Yeah.
That is it. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And we had done little bits of telly. We did some outside broadcasts where the telly would come to the theatre, and I did a Pathé pictorial or something. I remember again very early, and again I think it's on YouTube somewhere, where I walk up I'm putting up a poster or something outside the theatre, and then I'm giving programs out. This is 15-year-old boy giving out, because I started there at 15.
Wow, yeah.
So I mean, I
gosh.
didn't stay on to school.
So I mean, it has been a lifetime's
Yeah,
work, hasn't it? That's extraordinary.
60 years this year, somebody
Right.
told me. I
Yeah.
thought, no, it can't be.
That can't be right.
Can't be
No,
right.
no.
I'm only 25 and a half.
Of course you are. And which is your favourite medium? I mean, you've done TV, film, and theatre work.
Oh my goodness, I
Where would you-
love doing. It's really boring, but I love it when I'm filming. I love doing the filming stuff because
Right.
there's a whole technical side to that which I love.
Yeah.
I love cameras and
Yeah.
all the technicality of
Yeah.
all that. And if the director's really responsive, it's fantastic. You really, you can put your ideas in. They put their ideas in, and they ask you. There's a sort of a really nice sort of feeling from the director and the puppeteer, and if you've got that right, then things just happen magically.
And you don't mind the lack of a live audience in that
No,
situation?
not really.
Then?
I mean, it's the similar thing happened in television. People say,
Yeah.
"Oh, but because you're so used to doing it to a live, and that
Yeah.
lovely thing of getting the response." Well, actually, the cameraman used to laugh.
Sure.
And all the techies used to love coming to watch Rainbow because we were
Yes.
a bit naughty,
Yes.
and some of the camera has. As one does, okay.
Yeah.
After a while,
Yeah.
and we had such fun
Yeah.
doing stuff.
Amazing.
People talk about the naughty Rainbow, which is everyone watches, But it was just. I don't know. I do love live stuff. I'm really enjoying. I mean, this is lovely talking to you.
Yes,
see? Showing
isn't it?
puppets off.
Yes.
I'm showing off my.
That's
but
right.
It is just a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't really say that I love one more than the other.
Yeah.
I think I really enjoy doing them all.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, we have some more viewers and listeners' questions for you. I think there's quite a big handful there, so if you want to take them all out, let's see if we can
see what happens.
Yeah, tackle them all.
There's quite a lot there.
There we are.
Let's have a look. We've got David Hollis. If you had a chance to put one of your puppets in an Anderson show, who would it be and which show? Gosh. Bonus points for an idea within that show. Maybe a scene that you would like to have seen them play.
Right,
wow.
okay. So which of your myriad of characters?
I haven't got him here, sadly, but I have a dodo puppet who's rather posh. And I think he would fit into... He would probably fit into Thunderbirds, okay. Now, what scene? Probably he'd be a... Oh, actually, he might be in the sort of... what do you call it? The control centre,
Yes.
And he'd be one of the characters in there.
Yes.
Dodo is frightfully like that. And he talks, and he knows an awful lot. I've been around for over 100 years. So, I mean, that's the sort of Dodo
Lovely,
character. So
lovely.
I think I'd do that. Probably Thunders, but I mean, he'd probably be quite nice in Supercar even, some of the early ones.
Sure,
So,
that's right.
And he is literally, as you probably people know, he's the dodo bird with the big beak and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, one could he has had a costume on before now, but normally he's just with a sort of feather duster tail and his lovely big beak. But I think that would be the answer to that one, David. I think
Great.
that's all
Yes.
right.
Lovely.
Steve Bushell, did you get to meet Jim Henson when you worked with his Muppets? Also, does it still make your arms ache, or do you get used to waving your arms in the air? Well,
that's a fair question, isn't it?
It is a very good question.
Yes.
Do you know, I teach puppetry, particularly glove puppets and rod puppets, because that seems to be the puppetry that people like to do more now. As I said, string puppets take a bit longer. Yeah. Anyway, and one of the first things I ask, I say, well, put your hands up in the air, and how long can you? And I'm sort of chatting away, and I have my arm up, and people are gradually going, and they go down to say, well, I think the answer to one of those questions is it does make your arm ache if you have to keep it up there for a long time, but you develop somewhere. There's the muscles after a few years. That's it. It's there. And another thing, I just did a glove puppet pantomime in Norwich Puppet Theatre. They've got one there. I'm now a patron there as well.
Lovely.
I'm showing off a bit.
No, that's very good.
Anyway,
you carry on.
And I remember doing it. There was one scene, and I was doing this lovely. I think it was a fairy godmother or something. And I put my other hand there just to support it a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
If it's long, but there's ways around it now.
Yes.
The other part of the question was, did you get to meet? Yes, I did get to meet Jim Henson.
He was a genius, wasn't he?
Oh, total genius, and a lovely man.
Yeah.
Very quiet, very unassuming.
Yeah.
Never shouted at anybody. Never saw him shout or get roused up or anything. He was very honest. I remember when we started on Labyrinth, and we were all sort of lined up as additional puppeteers on the day of the shooting of the wonderful David Bowie song, it was The Babe, and throwing the baby up in the air.
Yes.
And he said, now look, everybody, just to let you know, this is going to take a few days to get this all shot, but your puppets will be right in the background. You are background puppeteers. I don't think you'll get a chance to get a close-up, because if we do, we'll get one of our American puppeteers to do it, because, they're used to it more. And I thought that was kind of it. I didn't mind the fact that I was on this huge set. And
but he
film.
took the time to explain.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and I thought that was lovely.
Yeah.
But another lovely moment was there was a wonderful lady, sadly died last year, a lady called Penny Francis, and she was very much involved in the sort of puppetry community. And she had every year a wonderful Christmas party. She lived in Wimbledon, and it was a lovely big house. Anyway, the doorbell rang. I was at the Christmas party. I was invited, and having known her for a long time. And the doorbell went, and I opened the door, and there was Jim and Cheryl, his daughter, and I sort of, and he went, oh, hi, I'm just coming, and he was so sweet, and I thought, hi,
just a minute,
excuse me, yes, do come in, Jim. But I mean, he was lovely, and we did have parties at his house in Hampstead. He invited us around, so lovely, a genius, and a very lovely, kind Superman, and I've been very lucky to have met all the family. And they're all great. They're all different. They're all amazing. They all do fabulous things. Cheryl, I know quite well. I mean, met her a few times. She comes over here quite a lot. Brian, of course, is busy directing all sorts of wonderful things.
That's right. So let's have another question then. See who we've got next.
Okay, Richard. Oh, it's another. It's a Richard.
Oh yes,
Richard
well,
Goodborn.
Yes,
a very good name. Which Anderson show would you have loved to puppeteer in? Oh gosh, there's so many.
Yeah.
I love Sting. Can I say a few?
Yes, go on. I think you can.
Early days, I'd love Four Feather Falls.
Yeah.
I was a kid watching that. I love Stingray. I love Fireball XL5 because I met John Blundell, and I'd love to work one of those puppets.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I have to say Thunderbirds and stuff. But I don't know. It'd be quite interesting to do some of the later stuff, just to see. I mean, I did work at Captain Scarlet and a Captain Blue, and I did a commercial with Captain Scarlet. I can't remember what it was, and I found those quite difficult puppets, to be honest, to work, because they're very constructed very differently. But what was interesting, I've learned since, that there was a whole lot of sort of puppeteering that was done like on the ground to hold the feet down, and so that they could do a little bit more. And the size of the heads and things were more naturalistic and all the rest of it. But so it would be quite interesting to work.
I mean, that leads on to another question of mine, really, which is how close, or did you ever come close to working with Gerry on any of his shows? I mean, obviously you were too young with the early days. Were you still too young by the time we got to the likes of Captain Scarlet and
No, I would have done. I think I was so engrossed at the Little Angel.
Yeah.
I think I worked with a lot of other companies after the Little Angel. I worked with John Blundell himself, who set up a puppet company in the Midlands Arts Centre. This was 69 to 70. And I did a year there working with, because his designs of puppets, he's very influenced in Eastern European puppetry. And that was fascinating to work. And that was all live shows. And that was very exciting. But
did you ever meet Gerry at all?
No, I didn't. It's a great pleasure to meet Jamie for the first time, and your good self, of course.
Very kind.
But no, it's I've always been fascinated. I've got a collection. I mean, I've got the books that Stephen Rivera has written, and I've got and I've got DVDs.
Of course you have. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So all the greats. So I'm still fond of it.
Excellent.
More
time for another one. Yeah.
Paul Hidder. I hope I've got
Paul
it right.
Hyder from China. Of all places.
Is he from China?
Yes. There you go.
Right. What's your preferred puppet type? Marionettes, hand puppets, rod puppets, or another? Well, I've sort of answered that earlier, but I think I love marionettes because that was the first puppet that I worked, the string puppets. But I love working a rod puppet or a glove puppet. I think it's all about character for me. And so if they're a difference, if it's a shadow puppet, it's got a great character. I love it.
I
you
see.
know, I just fall in love with the character and the way they're operated. It doesn't really put me off. I love working.
Other puppeteers have favourites though? Do
Yeah,
you know
I
who...
think there are. People
Yeah.
do have, their favourites. A lot of puppeteers today, newer ones, don't really touch marionettes because it's too difficult for them to work,
Right.
which gives me a bit more of an opportunity, of course. Sorry.
Yes.
But I think a lot of them probably do what we call the Muppet style, like the beaver puppet, and what we call tabletop, which puppets are worked on a tabletop. Usually the puppeteer is visible behind, and that's usually 1 or 2 or 3 puppeteers working the one figure to give an extra bit of movement. But and I'm happy to do that too.
There's a sort of a rebirth in recent years, certainly in terms of theatre, in having large-scale puppets. I'm talking things like the Lion King in town and Warhorse, famously.
Wonderful.
What do you think? Have you ever done anything to quite that scale?
Well, we did years ago, even before the wonderful big productions like you've just said, we did a production of The Soldier's Tale, which is a Stravinsky piece. It was originally a ballet, I think, but we did it with large-scale 7-foot puppets, and we did it at the Queen Elizabeth Hall.
Oh, wow.
That was probably 69, 68, that sort of time.
Yeah.
It was a while ago.
Yeah.
And it was the first time that we got, or the Little Angel Theatre got, amazing reviews from all the press. And during that time, it took years for the press to come along and sort of review a puppet show. I think they just thought, where's the angel?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, where's the other? They really, it was just wasn't sort of around, and taxi drivers didn't know, how to get there. But now, of course, it's so well known that they know. But that gave us a fantastic boost, I think, to the theatre, to John Wright anyway at the time. And there was a company of about 8 of us, maybe more.
Yeah.
I can't remember. And that was wonderful. We had Michael Flanders, the actor who was in a wheelchair for years and did Flanders and Swan. They were lovely musical act. Anyway, he did the narration. We had Daniel Barenboim conducting the English Chamber Orchestra.
Amazing.
Early days for him, but wonderful.
Yeah.
And we had, it was all live voice, obviously, because it was a live show. And that was something, we were all in black and put the puppets into lights from the side so that we disappeared. And that was quite something. But yes, I was one of the moments I'll mention Warhorse because I've seen it about 3 times. And one of the moments I loved in that was when the little Joey horse suddenly appeared, and then it grew in front of your eyes, as it were.
Yes.
It was just pulled back, and another one was there ready. Yes. And the change of lighting. Marvellous moment.
And yet still a puppet. I mean, at its basic,
absolutely.
still
and
a puppet.
You saw
and he was riding on it, but still a puppet.
Absolutely. I mean, you had 2 guys inside. You had the guy on the head with the long rod, and yet you didn't look at them. The whole. I mean, the story was so moving anyway, and the fact that you could get somebody to ride. They had to be very careful where they.
I'm sure they
sat
did.
themselves on it, but it's fantastic. And
amazing.
Lion King, I adored.
Yeah.
Lovely stuff.
Another couple, I think. Do we have left there, or one, or how are we doing?
Simpsons clips.
Oh yes, that's right. Yes, yeah.
What was it like to be the puppeteer of Sweep for a time?
Oh, well, there we go.
Well, how lovely.
Sweep.
Thank you very much, Simpsons. Clips. It was lovely. I mean, he's gorgeous. I still occasionally do a little bit of Sweep when I'm doing my own sort of talks about Ronnie Le Drew, puppeteer sort of thing, and I show these puppets and, of course, Sippy. But no, I love doing Sweep. Naughty character. Who doesn't like doing a naughty character or a silly character or one that gets sort of stuff thrown at him and he falls over, or he loves sausages. I mean, who doesn't, even if they're vegan ones, he doesn't mind,
Lovely. Well, let's head back into the worlds of Anderson very briefly then before we say goodbye with a very quick clip of a commercial we've mentioned a couple of times over the last couple of weeks. This is for Drench.
Oh, yes, Drench Water.
Water, that's right. Back in the, when was it, 20 years ago maybe?
It must be about 20 years ago, I would think.
So a very brief clip of this.
Yeah,
Let's have a look.
Thank you.
There you go.
Oh, wow. Memories.
Very quick snippet there.
It is. Now, most of it was the CGI.
At that point.
At that point. But then when he slid to the front, that was the real puppet. And we just did that. Woo!
Yes,
arms up in the
I
air.
see. I mean, it's
Yeah.
worth looking for on YouTube because
Yeah,
obviously your work will feature on and off throughout that CGI puppeteer.
Absolutely, and there are moments, where there's the puppet is. Well, in fact, when he's drinking the water, that was the real puppet.
Oh, yeah.
Very clever the way they had a sort of. I think it was a rubber tube or something. So, but it looked as though the water was going into his mouth. And I think it went down a tube in there. We had, that took ages to get exactly right. And of course, you've got to have the logo,
Of course,
showing.
that's right.
And
the pack shot.
exactly,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, wonderful.
But,
Well,
no,
it's been such a pleasure talking to you. What are you up to these days, Ronnie?
Well, I am about to, believe it or not, I'm about to go to Norwich on Sunday to do some school shows of the Christmas Panto, Jack and the Beanstalk, which we did over Christmas.
Yeah.
I've just had a phone call or a message today to say they'd like to do some reshoots of a film I did last year, which is, I think I can tell you the name of it. It won't. I thought it was going to be out in the summer. I don't know whether it will be if they're doing some retakes. But it's called A Quiet Place Part 1, and there were 2 films made previous to that, and this is the sort of prequel to the whole, and it's a sort of psychological thriller. It's all about strange creatures that come and if you make a noise,
that's right.
They
I've seen it. Yes.
Oh, you've seen it.
I know
lovely.
Yes,
wonderful,
amazing.
And literally, as I was coming here to talk to you, I got this message saying, "Would you be free in early February to do a couple?" I thought, "Oh, yes, lovely."
So the work's still coming in busier than ever.
Yeah,
or just enough to keep you busy.
Just enough to keep me busy, but I'm also doing talks. I'm teaching.
Yeah.
Great. Podcasts. Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
But yeah,
great. And before we say
really
goodbye,
busy.
where can we find you online then for listeners and
you
viewers?
can find me on Facebook.
Yeah.
Instagram. X, is it? Twitter.
Yes, right.
Where else can you find me? Oh, gosh.
Well, there's the website, of course.
Oh, the website. Now, that's
full
terribly old. It is quite full. I used to put every single thing I did, even if it was about 5 seconds, on there. Sadly, it's so old, I can't update it anymore.
Oh, yeah.
And it's got an address there that I no longer live in
Right.
and things like that.
Yeah.
But I've kept it on there because I sort of have. And my son's very good at... website stuff, so I'm hoping he will adjust the whole thing for me because I'm hopeless. But anyway, there you are. You can find me on those places, or Google me. You'll find all sorts of stuff there.
Lovely. Well, it's been a personal treat, I have to say, to meet you today, and I really appreciate you coming all the way to Slough to join us.
I know,
on the Gerry
isn't it
Anderson podcast.
iconic to come to Slough
Quite
too?
right, that's right.
Fabulous.
Thank you so much, Ronnie Le Drew.
Thank you.
Oh, how nice of him to join us. And he'll be back shortly, I think, to press the button for the last time on the old Randomiser.
Randomiser,
Yeah.
is it? Okay.
Yeah. But yes, what an amazing career. And how lovely to get sort of an insight from someone whose whole life has been in puppetry.
Yeah, and Anderson adjacent / crossing into, but not all about Anderson.
No, absolutely right. So yes, lovely. Thank you for joining us, Ronnie. Next week we have David K. Barnes joining us for a couple of weeks. And Chris Dale will be sitting in the interview seat for that one.
Will he?
Yeah, David K. Barnes, famous for wooden overcoats, podcasting and so on. So we'll probably have much to say about the Gerry Anderson Universe because he's a big fan, I know.
Interviewed by Chris K. Dale.
Yeah, that's right.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Don't do that.
I might.
But let's head over to our Facebook group, shall we? Which is found at facebook.com/groups/podsterons.
Okay, you remembered it. Very impressive.
Connor Flanagan.
Hello, Connor.
Posted a picture of the Terrorhawks Deep Blue Z.
Yes.
Yes. This is an epic moment for me. Thank you, Chris, Jamie, Andrew, Clements, and Stephanie Briggs. What a stunning product. Very proud to have contributed to this. Big congratulations to everyone else involved, and a final big mention to Gerry Anderson and the original creative team who made Terrorhawks such a wonderful and memorable TV series.
Here.
There you go. Here.
That's very nice.
Quite nice, that's from Connor. Rob Doyle says, first time watching the podcast, not too well at the moment, so taking advantage of being stuck at home and really enjoying it.
Well, we're glad we could keep you company during your hour of need.
Yeah.
Hope you're feeling better.
Oh, yes.
Roger M. Smith, great news,
Oh, yes.
he says. I have not been disappointed by any of the technical manuals. You can see how much care goes into them. This is very true. And as anyone who knows me will say, Fireball XL5 is top of my list. So thank you, Chris Thompson, and all the team. You've made my 2024 already. Well, this is off the back of the news of the upcoming Fireball XL5 Technical Operations Manual, which is a lovely thing.
Yes.
I mean, they're all beautiful, all the tech manuals, but this one It's got such a cool retro futurist vibe to
Lovely.
it. It's a real stunner.
Lovely. He says they've made his 2024 already. I mean, that's peaking early, isn't
Early
it?
days, yeah. It's all downhill from here, Roger.
Yeah. David also says, I thought this was relevant, and he posted this. If you identify a UFO as a UFO, then it becomes an FO. Rude. Unless it has landed, then it's simply an O. It's true, isn't it? It says it would have made some of the scripts in the series UFO interesting. Paul, when the UFO lands, identify it and bring back the occupants of the O to base.
You're right, Dave.
It's true.
Yes,
a UFO
thank
just
goodness.
becomes an O if it's identified and landed.
Thank good. Well, could it just be an identified landed object? An ILO?
Oh, ILO.
It's more better than an O.
It would be an earthly landed object, and it could be an LO.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello. Perfect. Good. Let's move on.
I think we
Hannah.
should.
Hannah says, I just want to say thank you to Gerry Anderson for giving me and many other people so much fun and entertainment. Since childhood, I have always loved Thunderbirds. My favourite episodes include Terror in New York City, great choice, City of Fire, and The Uninvited. Now I'm watching and enjoying his other shows too, with Stingray being my second favourite. The biggest highlight for me is unquestionably Brit Sci-Fi event in Leicester back in June.
That was fun, yes.
It was lovely to meet you all again, and I had such fun watching both the podcast and FAB Live.
Oh, yeah.
With Chris's infamous
Yes.
error.
Yes.
I hope to get to meet everyone again in 2024. Thank you, Jerry, and may your work live on. Well, it continues to because of all of you, Podsterons.
Yes,
so
that's
thanks very
true.
much.
Yeah, we would literally be nothing without the Podsterons.
Well, we would just be, what do they call us? Two boring middle-aged blokes talking about nothing.
Something like that, yeah. Yes, all for now, but we often say our Facebook group is the friendliest place on the internet because it is.
Yes.
So if you're a Gerry Anderson fan and you're feeling a bit lost and don't know quite where to express your feelings about your favourite show, well, why not join the Facebook group and let them know what you think?
Yeah, or even if you're not lost and you're very confident about expressing your feelings, please do join us. You
Fair enough.
Don't have to be, fragile or uncertain to join
No.
the group. Everyone's welcome.
Now, talking of people who are confident
fragile
with expressing
and
their feelings, it's time to head on over to the Randomiser sofa to
Is
see
it?
what Ronnie Le Drew picks out of Le Randomiser.
Oh,
Over to you,
Good
Chris
luck.
Ledale.
Bon courage.
Well, welcome back, Ronnie, and you brought another little friend to see us today.
have,
This is,
It's Sweet.
we all know who this is. This is Sweet. Hello, Sweet. Lovely to see you. I hear you also would like to press the button on the randomizer today. I think you absolutely should, and I think you're going to pick a great episode today. Let's see what we've got. Oh, well done. That was some expert button pressing there, Sweet. Yep. And it looks like, now what series is that we've got today? Joe 90 indeed. And which episode is that? Big Fish. That's right. That's a cracking episode. Well done, Sweet. Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you, Sweet. Lovely to meet you.
Thank you.
So here we are back with Joe 90, one of my favourites, with an episode that was one of the few I owned on VHS back in the day, Big Fish. I don't remember seeing this episode broadcast, but we open with a submarine. I believe this is a World Navy submarine or similar. At the controls, we have Shane Rimmer making a voice cameo, one of the few that he made in this show.
Range 2,500 yards. Standby missile 1.
Missile 1. Ready, sir.
And this is a lovely bit of special effects work for the, I was going to say pre-title sequence, but that's not what this is it?
Steel 140.
For the opening scene. Submarine preparing to launch an attack on some kind of naval vessel.
Standing on 140, sir.
Right.
Yes, this episode I think is one of those that has some specially composed music behind it. And the special effects stuff here is just beautiful. As the submarine prepares to open fire on some poor defenseless ship. And I like the build up to this. I like the fact that there's no music, but I also like that it's a useful showcase for the fact that these kind of effects have evolved quite a bit since the days of Thunderbirds and Stingray. Because I remember in Stingray there's a shot where a ship gets hit and it's just blown clean out of the water and you can see the bottom was just wood. Whereas this, the disintegration of this ship, is it's almost done in sections. Let's see what we get this time, because we've got the hit to stern, I think. What are we going to get this time? Whoa, that was midships.
Bullseye!
Yay! Good stuff. Yeah, we've got individual pieces flying off it, which I think works much better. And again, it shows the time and energy and attention that went into making these. Yay! We blowed up an innocent ship. Time to go home. I like as well that we stay with the ship for a few moments. Even after the sub leaves, we're like, well, we've got this footage of it exploding. We may as well use it somehow. Kaboom! Ho ho! Good stuff.
Reload missile tubes.
Yes, sir. Closing water outlets.
And the interior of the sub here, not so much the control room, but the missile room that we're about to see,
Water from tubes 1 and 3.
is a lovely set, this. This just looks so real and so lived in and grimy. I don't know to what extent anybody from Century 21 would have actually been allowed to go and study real life
Automatic reload, tube 3.
nuclear submarines. But, oh, one of the external hatches is not closed, so we've got a bit of a leak.
Sir, the missile room. It's flooding.
Oh no.
Start the pumps.
Yes, sir.
But the pumps aren't going to work, and now the sub is falling to the bottom of the sea. Again, this is lovely stuff as well, because it's hard to make water feel like it has a sense of scale in special effects footage. And there, I think they did a really good job. But we are coming up on a bit of a special effects fail, unfortunately, here, because the sub is falling towards the seabed. It's not there yet, but it's getting close as the water seeps into the missile room.
It's no good, sir.
And then we get this. Well, it's nearly got this. Yes, the sub is rolling down the seabed, and then that is a shot of it already on the surface, on the seabed, before you even hear it hit the bottom.
There's only one explanation.
And I guess that's probably just, oh, whoops, we didn't film that shot for whatever reason. And this is only going to be shown once, no one's ever going to notice that. But it is one of the most obvious effects mistakes in the entire series, unfortunately.
We've got to get clear. If they find us here, we're in trouble.
Well, I'm the panicky captain. Yes, the submarine has drifted into enemy territory, which is not good. You don't want that for your submarine. So let's send out a little marker boy to, yes, we're also going to radio back to base for assistance, which means we have to send out the emergency helijet with the emergency helijet theme. Lovely piece of music. Again, I think it's only in that one shot, just for that one scene of a helijet taking off. We get this brash, pompous music.
Pulse Library is building quickly, Sam. That department of yours doesn't waste time.
That's the idea, Mac.
It's great having the freedom to just take people's brain patterns without them having to consent to it, Mac.
I'll get it.
Even Mac at this point is just on board with it, like, yeah, we've got a lot of people's brains that we've stolen here.
It's an emergency. I want Joe and the professor.
Yes, this is quite an early episode of the series, for those who don't know. 7 or 8, I think.
Territorial waters. The Navy's sending in a helijet to try and pick up the crew.
And if they make it without being spotted?
They've got to make it. And that's must be moved.
I love the way, and I may have mentioned this before, but I love the way David Healy says, got to. That such and such must be. It's the energy he puts, the must and the got to. It's just, oh.
Q14.
We've got Bill Fraser, Eagle Pilot, Sir William Fraser of the Secret Service. Yeah, it's quite a common name in Anderson shows. Fraser and Bill Fraser. But at least the crew can escape without needing to be rescued. At least they don't have to be cut out of the submarine. but I love the sort of real world element to this part of the story, where even though these guys get out of the sub all right, and they get into their little dinghy, they've still got to contend with local search forces.
They should pick us up in 3 minutes with luck. Stand by.
Yes, sir.
Sir, shouldn't you have helped me into the life raft before yourself, sir? I mean, you know, captain's supposed to go down with the ship. You're the first one out of there, sir. Yes, there it is. Local shipping with a searchlight operated by Matthew Harding from the Secret Service. Oh dear. But luckily, he didn't spot them. I
don't know. Let's hope not.
I also don't know to what extent the captain's advice to get down is going to be of much help, considering that, you know, if the guy spots a bright yellow dinghy, they're going to investigate whether they can see people in it or not.
Glad to see him.
But hey ho, our guys are rescued. Hurrah!
Okay, Chief, leave it to me.
And by that I mean leave it to Joe.
That was WIN headquarters, London. The crew's been picked up. The mission's on. Now, here's the situation. For years, Puerto Guava's been in the grip of a military dictatorship headed by Juan Chavez. We've been working for free elections, and at last they've been forced to agree.
I see. But if the regime found that submarine, it would...
Also, this is a lot to throw at the minds of kids.
That's why we've got to get it out.
Which is something I really respect this show for. It seems to be aimed at a slightly older audience than a 9-year-old boy. The idea of throwing things like countries that don't have free elections and such, dictatorships and so on. You don't get many children's shows these days with dictatorships in.
First and ask questions later.
Except Peppa Pig.
Get into the rat trap.
I'll book a seat for you two on the midnight flight to Puerto Guava.
And then I'm out of this episode.
I'm ready, Dad.
All right, Joe.
Just relax.
Just relax. Relax completely.
He'd do a very good relaxation audiobook with Professor McClane. And this just makes me happy. Seeing Joe in the rat trap with the sound effects and the music and all of the psychedelic imagery. It's all good stuff. I particularly actually like when they do mix it up slightly. And they did a little bit there where they put a few extra sound effects on it. But here we go, we're back from the advert break and we are now in Puerto Guava. This is quite a similar setting to, I believe was the last time we did Joe 90 on the Randomiser, was that Viva Cordova? Which is an episode that also used a lot of the music from this one. Here we are at Customs, and inside we find quite a grotesque caricature of this Juan Chavez, president of the country. And a police chief with an eye patch, and Dr. Fawn as his lieutenant.
How long will you be staying with us, senor?
Oh, about a week, I should think.
All this way for a week's holiday. It is a little unusual, is it not?
Even 1 week here is worth the effort, Captain.
Oh, smooth.
I hope you find it so. Good fishing, senor.
Thank you. We hope so too.
And this is a puppet that, I don't know if it was created for Joe, or if it just never got used in Scarlet, but you don't see him until Joe.
Smart gringo.
I like the fact that he doesn't like Joe either. He played a lot of villains in this show. In fact, off the top of my head, I can't remember him ever not playing a villain. But I mean, just look at this. The detail here, the boat in the foreground, the boats in the background, the buildings in the background, the vague sense of age and also industry.
Anyone around?
And here we get one of my favourite incidental characters of any Anderson show, with a great name.
Buenos dias, amigos.
Miguel Humberto dos Passos Francesca at your service, and I be a...
It's another fantastic Gary Files performance.
We want to do a little fishing.
This is the fastest, most beautiful...
And I love the attention to detail in the puppetry here. There's those gestures, but also the fact that this puppet is rigged to smoke, which is very unusual. I've never quite been sure if it's smoke coming out of the puppet's nostrils or if there's some kind of pump somewhere else. Let's have a look. Yeah, so it's coming out of the puppet's head, which is quite impressive. Again, they did not need to take the time and energy that presumably would have gone into, setting that up, but they did. Lovely. Who is that in the bright green gear aboard the ship?
$100. A lot to pay for fishing. Unless... Miguel, amigo, I think we will go and take a look at these fishermen.
And I like as well that they set up Miguel as he isn't immediately a friend, he isn't immediately an antagonist, and even after he's introduced, you know, he could go either way. The fact that he's watching what they're getting up to, on the surface looks suspicious, but you know, it's his boat. He's got to keep an eye on things.
Is intriguing, no? Where is the young senor?
Ah, there's Joe. He's making his way down to the submarine to see if he can get on board and blow the tanks, get it out of enemy territory, because if it's found, it could cause a bit of a problem. There. And if anyone can do it, of course, Joe's going to be the one to sort it all out. I think this is just a preliminary examination. Yeah, he's seen the problem. Time to go back. And there's something very restful and relaxing about watching just boats going by, set to this very gentle Barry Gray sort of Spanishy music.
We're all set for tonight.
Good. You'd better change, Joe. I think we'll go back to the hotel.
Don't ever change, Joe. We love you just as you are. We recognise that hotel. Thunderbirds fans at least should recognise that hotel. That's from Lord Parker's Holiday. Again, I respect the fact that, you know, they're going to so much trouble elsewhere in the scene to create, like Miguel, like this room. I don't mind the fact that they then steal footage of a hotel from an episode of a different show completely. If the work's already been done, why not?
Just you a little more.
Lovely body language on that puppetry there. The sort of, I'm a bit shy about this. It's beautiful stuff.
Lieutenant in the police?
What are you trying to say?
I myself happen to be on the rocks today. There could be trouble.
Yeah, and that's where Miguel cements himself as he's an ally, no matter what, which is nice.
Minutes past 9 o'clock.
And you say the anchors were half an hour?
Si, Captain.
Oh.
I think we will accompany the patrol boat tonight.
Oh. Never has that line been said so sinisterly.
Si, senor.
And again, the Barry Gray music here is just... There's just so much mood to that sound.
It is truly an incredible adventure.
But is it an amazing adventure? That is what we want from John 90.
Gold? Sunken treasure?
I told you, a big fish.
And your boy is going to dive overboard and get it?
That's right. Isn't it, Joe?
Yes, Dad.
You are mad. Your son is mad. I am mad.
I'd like to get that on a t-shirt. It's a nice quote. So the patrol boat is now out, looking for anything suspicious. Yeah, Matthew Harding doesn't get to work the searchlight tonight. There's another rarely seen puppet in the wheelhouse there. Played the SKR-4 navigator in Inferno. Sorry, this music's, a lot of it just sounds so adventurous as well. It's lovely, the score to this episode. You can probably already tell, a Joe 90 episode is generally, it gets a head start with me anyway, but there's nothing about this that doesn't work. It doesn't excel all round. It's just the way this has been realised is exemplary across the board.
Well, good luck, Joe.
Good fishing, amigo.
He's such a nice character. He's very supportive even though he doesn't know what on earth is going on. We should all be lucky enough to have a friend like Miguel Lamberto dos Passos Francesca. So, Joe has gone back to the sub. This is the night where he's going to do the deed.
Special training to dive so well, senor?
No, as a matter of fact, this is only the second time he's worn an aqua suit.
I didn't quite make out what Miguel said there, but again, it's a lovely touch. It adds so much to the character. But speaking of characters, we have a giant clam that's it's opening, ready to ensnare Joe should he get too close.
He's been down over 10 minutes.
Si, senor. Everything is... Listen.
What is it?
Another boat. Look.
Oh dear. They're coming right for us.
At a moment like this, senor, I too wish I was at the bottom of the sea.
Again, there's a humorous side to this character as well that doesn't overwhelm it. He's just a lovely guy through and through, Miguel. And I think this is the first time we see that puppet as well. He later returned in various minor roles. This is probably his biggest appearance. Oh, but there we go. Joe has now got himself ensnared in the giant clam. What's he going to do? He's only got a little bit of air left.
McLean, you are under arrest.
El Capitano.
Be quiet, you vermin. You are under arrest also.
What's the charge?
Dear.
Where is your son, Professor?
Joe? He's in an aqua suit, diving about 145 feet below us.
Oh dear. Yes, it does sound a bit unlikely when you put it like that.
It's murder of your own son.
Murder? Oh dear.
Take this miserable boat in tow.
Wait.
No, Professor.
Yes, it's an impossible situation that Mac's been put in here. Because Joe really is down there with very little air. Oh dear. But who's going to believe it? And even if they do believe him, it can't explain the fact that he's there trying to fix a submarine. It's all quite desperate. Which leads to a fairly emotional conclusion to this episode. Because we don't actually, we see Joe in trouble here. Do we see the patrol boat leave? Yes. So that's it. There's no last ditch rescue attempt for Joe. Even if he does get out of there, there's no one around to pick him up anymore. Poor Joe. Oh, I love the fact that there's is that someone sort of camping outside the jailhouse there? But more fantastic stuff from Miguel.
It is nearly time, senor.
And again, the body language on Mac. It's so realistic.
Huh, forget it, amigo.
This is a good quote.
They say the firing squad is very good.
But then they get a lot of practice. I love that line. He's so matter-of-fact about it.
You were right to condemn it.
He seems calm and casual.
Murder Joe.
Mac's absolutely beside himself. It's just great voice acting. And then...
They are coming for us.
He does that.
Maria Madre Dios Santa 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 Dios Santa Santa Santa.
It's just... This episode is like a showcase for Century 21's attempt to create a real world in miniature. It's beautiful. It's incredibly well done. All of this. But of course...
By the authority of...
Is all as it appears?
Presidente Juan...
Are we really about to face a firing squad?
Porto Guava, and acting on the decision of the Supreme Court...
Certainly seems that way.
It's my duty to tell you... You are free to go.
Oh, I hung that out a bit. Hey, Captain Magenta. Picking up some extra work as a jail guard. No doubt many prisoners escaped on his watch.
That's about all, Dad. After I managed to free myself from that giant clam, I only had 3 minutes air left. But once I was inside the sub, I closed the inlet, pumped out all the water, and the rest was easy.
Simple.
Were you worried, Dad?
Max still got his frowning face on, which is a nice touch.
A little.
Dad.
Oh dear.
Professor?
Oh, and here's Miguel.
Hello, Miguel.
Come for his final scene.
Life is a struggle.
Don't tell me about
I have
it.
a plan to make us rich.
Yay.
I have a cousin in Miami who would help us.
Why does this guy not have his own show? I would watch this.
The boy Aquanaut.
Miguel's various attempts to hatch money-making schemes.
Well, full of dollars, senor.
I'm sorry, Miguel. We're going home. Oh. Aren't we, Joe?
You bet, Dad.
You are mad. Your son is mad. I am mad.
It's a lovely note to end. A lovely episode of Joe 90. There we go. That was Big Fish. And as I said, all round, I just really enjoy that one. And it isn't even one of the greatest episodes of the series. This just, like I said, everything that... Teleplay by Shane Rimmer, come on. That's probably why he got the voiceover work as well. Yeah, everything this episode does, it just does so well. And that's something that I feel I can say a lot about with Joe 90, is that it's just everyone operating at the top of their game. Voice acting, the set design, the models, the music. And it all just coalesces into this wonderful, and in this case, very realistic world. That's something else I like with Joe 90 a lot. That this doesn't feel like the future with Captain Dan Daring, or what? Oh, that's actually a real person, isn't it? Yeah. This is so much more grounded and so much more real, and that pays off in episodes like this because, you know, the real world can be a bit of a slog, but when you recreate it in miniature, it can also be a vessel for some fantastic storytelling. So yeah, all the way along the line, Big Fish has always been one of my favourite episodes of Joe 90. Good stuff.
Now look at that happy smiling face.
I'm so happy it was Joe.
Joe 90, yeah. What's wrong with Joe 90?
I don't think we haven't really got time for that.
Oh, Jamie.
We could do a whole podcast about that. In fact, I've done a whole video about it before.
Oh, yeah?
Where we had the case for and against with Jack Knoll, which I really enjoyed.
Yes. Did it sway you at all?
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit.
So what if you heard, maybe, what if in the dim and distant future, there was a call for a new series of Joe 90.
Yes.
And everyone looked at Anderson Entertainment, and everyone looked at you and said, Jamie, we want you to make a new series of Joe 90.
Yep.
What would you do?
We could do it, absolutely. But it's just, for me, this is so boring, you don't want to hear this again. It's just about making Joe more likeable. That's the thing.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
And that's just my personal opinion.
Your personal opinion.
Lots of you love Joe and think he's brilliant.
Yeah, there you go.
But you're incorrect.
Fair enough.
So...
Yes, moving on to next week, Pod 294.
294.
Because this one's done and dusted, I think.
I think it really is, yeah.
And I know you'll join us again because you always do. And I know you'll email us at podcast@gerryanderson.com and you'll comment on our YouTube channel and on our Facebook group. You might even leave us a rating on your platform of choice.
Yeah.
That's a review and a rating. Yeah, 5 stars and a few words about why you enjoy the podcast so much would be welcome.
Maybe some praise for the presenters.
Oh, yeah, of course. Oh, yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Yeah. But until that glorious day, we'll love you and leave you. See you next week.
Au revoir.
A bientôt.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's get started.
Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
He's not even French.
I know, but
he's not even
just cool.
French.
It's just cool. Do
It
you
is
not
cool.
get that? Do you know how sometimes when you hear someone's accent, you feel compelled to...
But he has hasn't even got a French accent.
No, just bear with me.
He's not even French.
Stop it.
Sorry.
That's called echolalia, isn't it? Where you hear somebody speaking a certain way and you just naturally
yeah.
I think there's the same thing with some like a cool word or phrasing or a name. I don't know what that's called. Economia, maybe?
Okay, could be.
So I was compelled by the economia to put the "le" in.
Compelled by the economia. That's a fantastic excuse. If ever I get caught something I shouldn't be doing, I was compelled by the economia.
Yeah. I feel like that's something that Professor Bergman might say in an episode of Space. Don't you think?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, John, I think he was compelled by the economia.
I like it.
Yeah. Oh, can't wait.
No, I think I'm just going to go and compel my economia, if that's all right.
Okay.
Back in a minute.
Have a great time.
Bye.
Goodbye.
That was an Anderson Entertainment production.